Hey there, mattphilleo in the studio, continuing to work on this 11 by 14 portrait of the pastor. Making some progress. I did a little work off camera, but I want to hit a highlight here in the middle of what I'm doing and just show you the painting, maybe about a third to a halfway done. So basically what I want to do is just develop some nuances within the interior of the face. Also darken some shadows, some different values, so I can make sure that all the values work within each other. Because everything in a painting is relative, you do want to make sure that, you know, this value of the hair is quite dark and the other portions of the face should match as well. And so if I darken the hair a little bit more, which I think I ought to do, that's going to tell me how much darker the rest of the face should go. And because I've worked on the face a little bit and I've neglected the hair, it's starting to look a little bit light. And so with that, let's take some raw umber dark, ultramarine blue, and kind of make, again, a blackish mixture. And I'll go back into the hair and just darken that. And I'm just using a round brush so I get a little more control at this point. I've already got some layers down so the coverage doesn't have to be quite as smooth as what I had prior to this. But see, I want to blend this in. I want to blend this into this portion on the top. And let me just zoom in here and show you that. Just move the camera up a little bit. And just zoom in a little more. Okay. And what I want to do is just feather this out. So I'm starting on the left-hand side with a little more pressure and easing up the pressure as I get towards the right-hand side. And so with that, I'm building up a gradation. And that's really an effective way to do it. I'm getting precise, you know, getting this shape correct. These little striations within the hair, they're kind of like little isosceles triangles, if you remember from geometry class. These really skinny triangles. And I'm just fanning them out. Creating hair correctly is all about getting the right values in the right place. It's not magic. There's not really anything super amazing about it. It's just knowing where to put the right colors and the right values. So I kind of want to demystify it a little bit for you today. Now, I do pray before I work on my paintings. So I do definitely need supernatural help, but it's not a magic act. It's really just putting the right values and the right colors in the right place. Getting the shapes of these values correct. And that really is what does it. You don't have to paint every individual strand. In fact, I would recommend that you don't. Rather just look to get those values in there. Let's darken this spot here on the right hand side. And that will make a difference. There's a few highlighted areas I can come back and hit those with opaque paint. But overall, I just want to get those main values in there. Now let's also darken this portion that goes alongside the top of his forehead. And we want to get that slight blend. You don't want to get it too dark there. I mean, you want to make it look like the hair is feathering out. And one way of doing that is to use a little warmer color as you blend into the skin tone on the forehead. So I'm using a little warmer tone and just dabbing into that and blending it a little bit. And see this little section in there, that has to get darker. And it almost has a greenish hue to it. So I'm taking a little bit of phthalo blue and mixing that just a bit on the top here, and then I'm going to pop that into this section just to get that a little bit greener. See, these little colors make a difference. When you're painting hair, you don't want to look at his hair and say, well, that's blonde or it's light brown, and paint the color as what you think light blonde or brown should be, because a lot of artists will assume that's yellow or a very golden color. They'll make the color way too intense. It's kind of like you think of how things looked when you saw comics as a kid. You know, blonde hair was always depicted as yellow. That's not the case here. Now, he has some gray hairs on the side, but at one point when he was younger, he might have had more of a blondish sandy brown, I'm guessing. And there's a lot of nuances in there, and that's why I'm trying to pull those out with some colors like slight green, and you can see that that's a bluish green color. And as I put it in as a glaze, mixing in with some previous layers, it really develops some interesting nuances. And see if I can add this to it, just a couple other spots on the top. I think I even see it a little bit in this section as well. But glazing is just really amazing for getting these striations in here, for getting these different colors, because you can layer so many different colors together. I think the glazing technique, that is using clear matte medium, mixing with you know, the pigments and making semi-transparent or translucent glazes, I think it's just amazing for doing hair and pretty much all parts of the portrait. Although eventually you do want to start using some opaque layers on the top. And we'll get into that layer, or excuse me, not layer, but later, as I show you some more videos here on this portrait. I want to darken this section right here. You see how that whole value is quite a bit darker? And so I'm going to add just a bit of white so it covers a little more. When you add white, it does tend to make the paint cover better, although it does cool it down. And so I lost a little bit of that warmth. I'll have to restore that later. But it's important that I get these values correct. Nothing is going to make this look realistic faster than getting those values correct. And so that's what I'm endeavoring to do. And we'll add just a little highlight to the top, and maybe just a little bit of a warmer color. See, I have some burnt sienna over here mixed into a glaze, and we'll add a little of that on this side just because I notice a warmer color just in that spot. And I'm just, again, barely touching the surface of the canvas, then dabbing it with my finger to soften the ends of the glaze. And when you leave these little highlights in the middle, it really makes the hair look like it's shiny and gives it just a really realistic appearance. And so with that, I'm going to call this video done. I hope you enjoyed this little training session. If you're watching this as a course at realisticacrylic.com, just skip ahead to the next lesson. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. That encourages me to keep on making videos like this for you. And then share it with your friends. Also go to realisticacrylic.com for more videos just like this. In fact, I'm going to have this whole portrait done as an entire course, showing the step-by-step process how I created it. So yeah, thank you so much for watching today. Be blessed, and I'll talk to you soon.